Well, it is a pleasure to be joined by Jared Weiss from Starpower, a longtime agency partner in all things talent procurement here with Taylor. And Jared, let's just talk a little bit about the evolution of talent procurement.
Sure.
How has things changed from your end, as digital has grown?
I mean, it's amazing what's happened, but I think the biggest change is that from a talent procurement standpoint, that the digital influencers become part of every plan. I mean, right now, I think the number is 82% of brands are working with influencers in some form or fashion. And 65% of brands plan on increasing the amount of social influencer engagement in the next year. So you just see how maybe social influencer isn't the marketing plan, but it is very much part of the plan and becoming a necessity.
And so, with so many digital campaigns, I guess that means that the sea of potential influencers and potential talent is even bigger.
Yeah, it's huge, and we like to say not all influencers are created equal, and sort of our categories and the way we look at it is you sort of have the traditional celebrity that's going to have the X amount of millions of followers, but then one level down you have the digital star, then sort of the up and comer, and then the micro influencer. And there's a lot of different options, a lot of different choices, and really one of the biggest changes how analytics now and the data and validating the data has become so important, because someone that has 5,000 followers or 1,000 followers that's really interested in brand space, they have to be authenticated. So certainly challenging, but the data part of it is what's really exciting.
So let's talk a little bit about, I guess, the nuts and bolts. Somebody comes to you and says they have this campaign that they want to procure some talent for.
Right.
What are the steps that you go through in terms of trying to find the right person for them?
Sure. I think it all starts with this discovery phase and really understanding, just like traditional talent is, what are the goals of the campaign? What are we trying to accomplish? What's the message? Are we trying to create content? Are we trying to get video included? And really getting our arms around exactly what we're trying to do. And maybe the most important part is what's the audience that we're trying to reach. So, and it's not as, it's not that much different than traditional celebrity, but really understanding those things and making sure that those elements really have been thought through versus just a rush to let's just go sign a social influencer, let's go find a celebrity.
Sure. Well, I'm a sports guy, so I'm going to ask you some sports questions.
Sure.
I have to. Any different challenges in working in the sports space versus more of a entertainment or a lifestyle space?
Yeah, I would actually go out on a limb and say it's easier to work in the sports space. Now, I would put it into sports, social influencer, traditional celebrity, kind of those buckets. I think the sports space, we find that the athletes are generally a lot more open to brand partnerships as it relates to leveraging the social media and being out there. And there are also a lot of charities that athletes are trying to do, and are there ways that brands, by partnering with them, can help amplify messages so that there's sort of borrowed equity going on. And the other thing about athletes is that they generally don't have so many different people around them in terms of a team, so to speak. And I think that simplicity and the ease of access, where you're sometimes working directly with players or just with one agent, it makes the whole process that much easier.
And I think with sports and with athletes, fans are fans of the athletes. They want to support them. So I think there's a little bit more reception from the fan base to supporting any kind of thing that an athlete would do.
Absolutely. Tons of fan passion that can be leveraged. On the flip side of it, there's a handful of athletes that can be classified as national, right? So it does become regionalized, but when you talk about the Olympics and you talk about some of these sports platforms that are sort of not regionalized, there's some great ways you can activate in those areas too without making yourself too regional.
So how about if somebody comes to you and says they want to work with someone who you haven't worked with before, or is some rookie, right, who hasn't really done a campaign? What's the vetting process like for figuring out if this is someone who is worthwhile working with?
It's funny. It's the biggest conversation in our office is the vetting process.
Right.
And it's the days of just going on Google and checking somebody out and seeing, going through a social media audit to see the tone and what they've posted in the past. Those days are over, and it's just not enough. So, we actually go through thorough background checks, and we try to establish patterns of behavior, and we actually not only look at the past, but we try to look at the future, try to predict behavior, and we've seen countless examples of when that has not been done correctly, when it's come back to really, really hurt a brand. So it's a huge part of the process. We spend a lot of time doing it and try to be as thorough as possible, and oftentimes using outside third parties to actually help us do that.
So So obviously, as we've talked about, talent procurement has changed a lot over the last 10 years
Sure.
or so. What's on the horizon? How is it going to change, you think, moving forward?
Yeah, it's funny what we love, and I see this coming right now, and it's happening in the fashion and in the beauty spaces, the social commerce conversation, and we're seeing the influencer sort of shopping sites that are developing, where you're logging on to the forays, for example, where it's all influencer curated, and you essentially are shopping for the things that, for lack of a better term, that they've been promoting, or things that they like, but we're not there yet from a connectivity standpoint. And I think from a social influencer standpoint, and as it relates to securing the talent,
Sure.
right now we're measuring engagement, and we're measuring activity and maybe purchase intent in some of these things. We're heading towards social commerce. And the connectivity is not there yet. It's not that easy. And just the black and white, if someone promotes a product, to click and buy it, it's starting to get there. Mm-hmm. But I think that is absolutely a place that we're going to see brands for certain campaigns want to hire social influencers to help, especially from retail and fashion and a bunch of different areas.
Well, Jared, it was a pleasure. Thanks for stopping by the Taylor Social Club. We certainly look forward to seeing how talent procurement does change over the next few years.
Thank you for having me.